Maurice Sam has reached that level in Nollywood where people no longer just watch his movies for entertainment, but also for the moments that spark conversations immediately after the scenes drop. Because there's this undeniable pattern forming that viewers can't seem to ignore, and it revolves around how deeply he commits to romantic roles in a way that feels almost too convincing, and that's where the whole tension begins to build, because audiences are no longer just reacting to a storyline, they are reacting to what feels like something real unfolding right in front of them. There's something about the way he carries emotional scenes that makes everything look effortless yet intense at the same time, and it's not just about proximity or scripted affection, but the level of detail he puts into every interaction, from eye contact to timing to the way he responds to his co-stars, which creates a kind of chemistry that doesn't feel staged, and that alone is enough to make viewers pause and start asking questions about what they're really watching. People have started noticing that once he is paired with a new actress, there is almost always that one unforgettable moment that becomes the highlight of the movie, and it usually involves a level of intimacy that sparks debate online, because it crosses that thin line between acting and what feels like genuine emotional connection. And once that line gets blurry, the audience naturally starts to interpret things beyond what was written in the script. Interesting part is how quickly social media turns these moments into something bigger than the film itself, because clips get shared repeatedly, and suddenly thousands of people are analyzing a few seconds of footage as if it holds some hidden meaning, and before long theories begin to form and narratives start building that have nothing to do with the original story, but everything to do with how real the interaction look at is where things begin to shift from simple entertainment into full-blown speculation, because viewers are not just watching anymore, they are trying to decode what they see, and that includes questioning the personal lives of the actors involved, which adds another layer of complexity, especially when the actresses are known to be in relationships outside of their professional work. It creates this uncomfortable curiosity where people start wondering how those partners feel seeing such convincing scenes, and whether there are limits that should exist even within a professional setting. And while some dismiss these thoughts as unnecessary overthinking, others feel it's a valid concern, because the performances are so intense that they don't feel detached from reality. What makes it even more intriguing is that this reaction isn't happening randomly. It keeps repeating itself across different movies, with different actresses, which is why people are starting to believe there is a consistent pattern, rather than isolated moments. And patterns naturally draw attention, because they suggest intention, or at least a specific approach that stands out from the norm. From a professional standpoint, it's easy to argue that this is exactly what acting requires, because the goal is to make the audience believe every moment. And if that belief is achieved, then the actor has done their job perfectly. And by that standard, Maurice is simply excelling at what he does, because he manages to create scenes that stay with viewers long after the movie ends. But from a viewer's perspective, it doesn't always feel that simple, because emotions don't operate on logic alone, and when something looks real enough, it triggers reactions that go beyond analysis, and that's why opinions about him are so divided, because people are responding not just with their minds, but with their instincts. Some see him as a dedicated professional who is raising the standard of on-screen chemistry in Nollywood, while others feel there's something about his approach that pushes boundaries in a way that makes them uncomfortable, and both perspectives exist at the same time, without cancelling each other out, which is why the conversation never really settles. Another angle to this whole situation is how it highlights the evolving nature of Nollywood itself, because the industry is no longer what it used to be. Audiences are more exposed, more critical, and more engaged than ever before, and that means performances are being scrutinized at a level that wasn't common in the past. Actors are now expected to deliver not just believable scenes, but unforgettable ones, and that pressure naturally pushes them to go further in how they express motion and connection on screen. And Maurice seems to have found a way to meet that expectation consistently, which keeps him in high demand. The actresses he works with also play a crucial role, because chemistry is never created by one person alone. It's a shared dynamic that requires both individuals to be fully present in the moment. And when that balance is achieved, it produces something that feels authentic and powerful, which is exactly what audiences respond toned. When viewers start to feel that authenticity, they begin to form attachments not just to the characters, but to the actors themselves, which leads to things like shipping, where people imagine relationships beyond the screen based on how convincing the performances are, and that only adds fuel to the ongoing speculation. more these ideas spread, the harder it becomes to separate fiction from reality in the minds of the audience. And that's where the real impact of social media comes into play, because it amplifies every reaction, every theory, and every opinion, turning what could have been a simple discussion into a widespread debate. Some people take a more grounded approach and remind others that acting is a craft that involves rehearsals, direction, and technical execution, and that what looks spontaneous is often carefully planned and executed with precision, while others remain convinced that there's something more to it, simply because of how natural it all appears. This difference in interpretation is what keeps the conversation alive, because there is no single answer that satisfies everyone, and as long as that uncertainty exists, people will continue to watch, analyze, and discuss every new release that features him. There's also the factor of relatability, because when viewers imagine themselves in similar situations, it makes the scenes feel more personal, and that emotional connection is what drives stronger reactions, whether positive or negative. Some people admire the confidence and commitment it takes to perform at that level, while others feel it challenges their expectations of what should be acceptable within professional boundaries, and both reactions are valid in their own way, because they come from different perspectives. What cannot be denied is the level of impact these performances have, because not every actor can create moments that generate this kind of attention repeatedly, and that consistency is what sets him apart and keeps his name circulating in conversations across different platforms. Directors and producers are likely aware of this effect, which is why he continues to be cast in roles that allow him to showcase that intensity, because at the end of the day, the industry thrives on engagement, and anything that keeps audiences talking is valuable. The question of boundaries will probably continue to come up, because it's a natural response to situations where reality and performance intersect so closely, and while there may never be a clear answer, it remains an important part of the discussion. At the same time, it's worth acknowledging the level of trust